So I just finished watching the documentary on No Number, the high school catfish. And so I was even going to watch this documentary because I'd already known the spoiler. I already knew who did it because I'd seen on an Instagram post like just who did it. So I was like, oh, I already know who did it. So like what's there to watch? But then another friend of mine like texted and another friend of mine wanted to then watch it together. So we were like, okay, let's watch it together. So we both already kind of knew who did it and we thought it was going to like affect how we consumed it. But when I tell you, I actually I actually don't because there are so many twists that it doesn't really matter if you already know because what I ended up getting, the story itself is so twisty and so like I don't want to get into it. So obviously I'm watching knowing fully who the person is, and in the documentary, spoilers alert by the way, spoilers ahead. In the documentary, we are seeing this woman, so I'm like, how are you, madam, in this documentary, just sitting here talking to us, also talking about how I thought that the school needed to do more. I'm like, aren't you the perpetrator? And so up until that point, I'm like, this is it not this woman? This is the perpetrator. So at the point where it's now revealed that it is her, I said, Kendra. And honestly, let me tell you something. These are my only thoughts from this. I'm surprised that I don't know what I can say here, but the pedophilic allegations were not bigger in this particular production because they really hold her for the trafficking and the not trafficking, sorry, for the stalking and the cyberbullying. But are we not going to talk about her obsession with that Owen boy? Because even outside of what she did to her own daughter, the Lauren, when the Owen got into a relationship with the other girl, she still went to go and like disturb the other girl and her family. So it was far beyond Lauren as far as I'm concerned. I think she definitely had an obsession with Owen. And even Owen kind of says that yeah, he felt some vibes from her. I think this woman should be on a list somewhere for sure. But it's also so weird. I was watching it with my friend and I was asking her, I was like, before we saw the sentence, and I said, do you think this woman should be sentenced? And she was like, absolutely yes. And I said, same. But how long do you think she should get? My friend was like, electric chair. And I was like, I don't know. And why I didn't know was because of Lauren. And it's a very weird middle because you guys tell me, what did you think? What are your thoughts? Because for me, I'm like, when we see that Lauren, because it's weird and wild when your abuser is also your consoler. It's very strange because at the same time, we really see that Lauren also did need her mother. Like, she keeps being like, oh, I miss my mother. I want my mother. And I was telling my friend that at the end of the day, too, if they lock this woman and throw away the key, like, who is really going to mother this woman? Like, this girl, Lauren. And my friend was like, I mean, she can find another mother, somebody else. Like, maybe she can get into therapy. But it seems like, because the weird thing, and if you've watched this, like, Kendra was so Kendra, are you okay? Clearly not. But like, and also Kendra is such a liar. Also, when she was talking about, oh, we've all done things, we've all broken the law, we've all. I said, you and who? You and who, Kendra? Speak for yourself. All this, oh, it's just that you have not gotten caught. Some of us have broken the law. Hey, 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 hey. Kendra, I beg, I beg, I beg, I beg, I beg. Speak for yourself, madam. I don't know anything about that lifestyle. Please carry your own on your head. But this was so wild. And also, it was so when she's then confronted with the truth, where the police then come with a warrant into her home and the body cam footage. I really thought it was going to be more explosive, but it's not. And even Lauren's reaction, she's kind of just shocked. And it just, this is really, when it's not fiction and it's like this. Oh, also, when I tell you, first of all, the number of writers that are feeling vindicated, the number of YA writers, because the mystery writers, or sometimes people will be watching their fiction stories going, this is too far fetched. Like, this is too much. This woman is too much of a villain. So she's just everything. The mother is this. Almost, it's almost too much. I'm sure that there were writers just watching, going like, I told y'all that these things happen. And I'm sure that as I'm talking to you, there's somebody else that's writing and inspired by true events, based on true events. The number of stories that are about to come out, fresh stories with unhinged characters and unhinged storylines, and it will be like, well, stories like this happen. Go and watch a documentary. Have you watched a documentary? Things like this happen. Inspired by, oh, we're going to see some unhinged stories going forward. I can already tell you. But what was I even saying? That like, oh yeah, it just really goes to also show like when it's non-fiction like this, that really you can't know, like, because if you saw this woman on the road, you wouldn't know the kind of mess. And even when we were watching the TikTok people, the TikTok high schoolers, you won't know the things going on behind the scenes of their personal lives and just the wildness and whoa going on in their lives behind this TikTok. Overall, this was, even as much as I knew who the person was, I was still very shocked. I would say that it didn't really stop my enjoyment of the documentary. It was a very well done documentary. And I do it's Kendra. I still wow. And then when she now dumped her own trauma at the end too, of like what the things that happened to her, I was like, I don't mean to, because at the same time it's very weird because she is a survivor from what she tells us. But as my friend was saying, just because you're a survivor doesn't mean that you should still not be held accountable for your actions, which I completely agree with. But her kind of saying it, it's almost like, I don't know, there were so many moments, even when, at one point the director, I think, also almost tells her, like, do you think when you were texting Kendra these things, you were kind of texting yourself? I wish the director didn't even do that, because it almost felt like it gave her that out to now be like, yeah, I wasn't really texting her. I was talking about my own self because, I was getting too thin. I feel like that was kind of like leading on the director's part. Not like she's getting, she's in the court of law again, but I'm just saying that I just was like, is that really why? Because Kendra, what? Overall, what a documentary, what a strange story. I'd have to go and call my mother and just tell her, you know what, thank you for not cyberbullying me. Because, wow, people really have all sorts of parents. Well, if you've watched this whole thing and you have no idea who I am, my name is Vidiki and I make movie bingo cards, which you can find on my Substack, vidikifilmclub.substack.com. I also talk about films. Till the next movie that I watch, or the next documentary, or the next film, and the next video that I make, have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.